Alright, so, as I mentioned in my previous RE4 video a couple of days ago, we're going to be talking about a leak that has been kind of floating for a while now, that I've recently come across, and it sounds interesting. It sounds like it could change, not the game on the gameplay standpoint, but the game as, in terms of the tone and atmosphere, which is interesting, but we'll get to that in a moment. Something to keep in mind with leaks, as always, just take everything with a little pinch of salt. Like, nothing is guaranteed until developers officially announce a thing, so, don't believe every leak you see online. But either way, I'm going to throw this one out there because it is interesting. If it's true, it could be a bit of a game changer for the game and how people might view the remake. So let's get into it. So if you play Resident Evil 4, you'll know the game doesn't take itself terribly seriously. The storyline reminds me of very generic action thriller movies. President of the United States' daughter gets kidnapped and they send one singular guy to go and deal with it. That's generic action movie for you. And it does give off that vibe a lot when you play. Obviously the stakes in the game are high, but that plot's been done in a million movies already. That being said, it's not a bad thing. It's entertaining in those movies as well, and it is definitely entertaining in this game as well. On top of that, the characters do have a bit of banter between each other. They joke with each other. Leon basically roasts every main villain in the game at some point. And, let's not forget his classic one-liners like bingo and no thanks bro, and they're all there. They're all gold. They're all very memorable. But with this supposed leak, that could all change. It could all go away, maybe. So supposedly this leak suggests that the game is going to be a lot more dark and a lot more serious on a story standpoint, and with Leon as well. The leak goes on to say that Leon is suffering from pretty intense depression and PTSD from the events of RE2, and it has affected him, and it comes across a lot more noticeably in this game than it does in the original 4. Now, if they're going for a sense of realism with the 4 remake, I can kind of see why they've done this. Take it from your own perspective. If you were in Leon's shoes and you went for your first day on the job at a brand new job in a brand new town, and when you got there, people were literally eating each other, and there was monsters you'd never thought you'd ever see, and you were literally one of very few people to make out alive, that would have an impact on you mentally, I think. I don't think anyone would be quite okay after that. In fact, it's actually briefly touched on already. If you've seen the Resident Evil Infinite Darkness series on Netflix, there's a scene where Leon is talking to the guy that he's going to China with. I actually forget his name. I've watched this show once. It wasn't that great. But anyway, he's talking to him about past experiences, and he does mention Raccoon City and how it was terrifying. Like, it wasn't a nice atmosphere at all, and you can tell it bothers him even now. And again, it makes sense. It's a big, massive, traumatic event. You probably wouldn't ever really recover from it. So if this is going to be a prominent kind of point in the remake, maybe he won't be his one-lining snarky self that he is in the original RE4, with his wisecrack jokes and his perfectly placed one-liners. Like, I don't think they'll be there, and that could have an impact on the tone of the game shifting from this kind of cliche movie with classic old school hero one-liners and stuff like that. It will just go away, probably. Now obviously on a gameplay standpoint, you're still going to do the same things, you're still going to fight the same bosses, the same enemies are still going to appear, but Leon's attitude will probably be a lot different. I don't think there's any kind of hard proof that the voice actor of Leon is the same one from the original 4. There is rumours suggesting that it is the voice actor from the 2 remake, which also voiced Leon in the Infinite Darkness TV show. He's not a terrible voice actor, he's definitely good. But again, giving Leon a different voice will kind of imply that they can go in a different direction with him because it's not the same guy. You're not going to hear the original voice that says the bingo line, saying something super serious. It's not It's not going to happen, and if that was the case, it probably wouldn't feel right. But that's the leak. That is the supposed leak. You know, a more serious, a more dark, and a more kind of heavily focused on Leon's like past mental trauma he's experienced in the events of Raccoon City. It's an interesting take. It's definitely something that would maybe affect how people view the remake in comparison to the original. Some people would probably say it wasn't really necessary to do that because it wasn't in the original, but you know, this wouldn't be the first time a remake has changed everything, not everything, but changed huge parts of it to fit a new retelling of a game. But like I said at the beginning of the video, take leaks with a huge pinch of salt. This might not even be true. Alongside this leak, fun fact, alongside the leak, I believe this was posted on Reddit or 4chan, possibly. But alongside this part, there was a brief bit about 9, which is already a stretch. Like, that game's, yes, it's been in development for a while now. It actually has the longest development time of any of the games. But a lot of what the leaks of RE9 suggested were just, to me, seemed like a massive wish list of things. I'm not really going to go into the specifics because me saying wish listy, you can probably tell what kind of things were in that leak. But you know, the whole thing, I think leaks are ridiculous, honestly. Like, that's just me. I don't like seeing them. Obviously, it is something that is interesting to talk about, so I do talk about them if I do see them, but I'm not going out of my way to find them. It's just if I happen to be scrolling or looking around and I see it, I'm like, okay, that's interesting, but I don't go out of my way to find these things. But either way, do let me know what you think of a more serious version of RE4. Do you think it would be good? Do you think it's not really necessary? Or do you think it would add a kind of a breath of fresh air to the game? Either way, whether this ends up being true or not, I'm really looking forward to an RE4 remake. Do I think it's necessary? I always sit on the fence with that. I personally think other games in the series deserve a remake before this game. But at the same time, you know, look at it from their point of view, this game is huge, and remaking it properly, more to the point, would bring them some big money. So, business standpoint, this makes a lot of sense. But do I personally think it needs it? Probably not. But yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. Remember to leave your thoughts on this whole thing down in the comments. I'd love to hear them. And I'll catch you all tomorrow for a brand new video.